Hey everyone! Happy Friday! I'm Sinclair with Mystical Heart Collective, and I am here to talk today about bad trips versus hard psychedelic experiences. So, when we talk about bad trips, that's something that comes up all the time around working with psychedelics, right? So, The first of all, I want to talk about the language that we use around describing these experiences because that distinction is really important of how our words are the way that we talk about using medicines and plants for healing is different than you would talk about a drug experience that's for fun or recreation, right? So the way that we speak about plant medicine and using even synthetic psychoactive substances for healing and medicinal purposes, we would not use the word trip. We would say ceremony, maybe sitting, we say sitting with the medicine, or journey is often used. Experience is a good word to use. We don't really say trips, and the reason why is because a trip sort of implies an escape, right? Like your purpose is like, okay, I'm going on a trip. I'm going on vacation. And for a lot of us, for a lot of times when you're working with these substances, these plants, these psychoactive substances, you're not going on a vacation. This is not a vacation experience. It's work. It's hard, and that's why the way that we talk about these things is really important. And so I actually, when people ask me now, how do you avoid a bad trip? I say, well, I don't go. I don't believe in bad trips. And I actually, this is really how I feel. There are no bad trips because when you have an intention of healing, when you have an intention of going into yourself and finding what's going on in there, what is the source of this pain and suffering, this addiction, whatever thing that you're working to heal in yourself, it might be unpleasant. It will be unpleasant. I mean, not even might, it's going to be unpleasant at times. It's going to be hard, difficult, trying, painful. It can be feel negative sometimes, and that is part of the experience. That is part of the journey. And expecting an to heal without going through those trying times, those trying experiences is going to set you up for disappointment. However, there are ways to have difficult journeys in the safest way possible and to enable yourself to have the most productive time, whether it's whether you're working alone or with a guide or in a trusted circle of friends, or whether you're in a ceremonial setting with a shaman or a leader. So I talk a little bit about this in my blog this week, and you know I I, I really don't share too many kind of harm reduction for recreation tips because I don't I my focus is like working with plant medicine to heal. So this week, because of the subject, bad trips, like it's having a difficult, scary, overwhelming experience on psychedelics, whether you're doing it for fun or for healing, is can be one of the most intense things that you will ever go through. So this week I really kind of put some extra effort into sharing like here's some ways to minimize the chances that you're going to have something that you're not ready for. So I want to talk a little bit about like you will hear this a lot if you're researching psychedelics or if you work with psychedelics, set and setting. And set and setting means like your setting, meaning where you are, like the place you are and who you're with and who is going to be with you in during the time of your experience. and also your internal state of mind, your internal setting. And from my own personal experience, I can tell you how dangerous and scary it is to use psychedelics as an escape. Because what they are designed to do is to take us inward and to take us into the thing that we want to escape from. So I'll tell you a little personal story. I used to drink a lot. And if you know me, you know that I don't drink anymore, and I haven't for quite some time. Um, but I used to. And toward the end of my addiction with alcohol, I was really suffering. And I knew that I wanted out, but I didn't know how to get out. And I didn't know, I was just really I would have these like benders or whatever, and then it would be really painful. And I was like, every time that it happened, I just felt like, God, I don't want to do this anymore. And so one night I had some mushrooms and I ended up taking mushrooms after I had been drinking. And I'm actually so glad I did this because don't do this. This is not something you should not do this. But it ended up being something that I really became grateful for because of the thing that happened afterwards. But so I had been drinking and I didn't want to feel drunk anymore. So I was like, oh, maybe if I take these mushrooms, then I'll feel better. And that was a huge mistake. I did not feel better. I felt terrified. And the spirit of Ganesha, if you don't know who Ganesha is a Hindu god, remover of obstacles. He's the elephant. I have a tattoo of him on my arm. He came to me and very clearly slammed the door to the mystery in my face and told me, like, you have this obstacle, you have this addiction. Do not come back here until you have dealt with this. You are not able to come to us now the way that you are. And the mushrooms told me that I need to go see ayahuasca, which was actually a really something that journey where I sort of got thrown out of the bliss state and into like, you have something really terrible you need to deal with, and you cannot receive what we want to give you until you deal with this. And that journey after that, I turned into anxiety, fear. I was so scared. I was overwhelmed. My mom sat with me like for hours while I was just like crying and telling her how I wanted to die. Like it was very bad. So that's what I would consider a bad trip. Uh, use of psychedelics to escape. They don't really work like that. And when you mix alcohol with them, it's even more dangerous for your psyche, for your heart, for your for your soft human parts that actually desperately need to be with these plants, but not in a way where you're being careless and mindless about it. And that's what I was doing. And so I'm actually very grateful for that experience. It was a really good lesson. I've had a few other journeys where with acid and some other, really, really difficult psychedelic experiences where I'll tell you about another one. One time I took something that I thought was LSD, which was not LSD. It was something else, and had a 14-hour, like, horrible experience with that. So that's another one of my tips for you is do not take a synthetic substance if you have not tested it, you don't know where it came from, you don't know what it is, because there is a very strong chance that it is not what you think it is. There are many, many compounds, like synthetic compounds out there now that are mimicking kind of the effects of MDMA or LSD or other, there's so many of them. When I was researching this blog, I was kind of like astounded at like, oh my God, there's so many substances that are easy and cheap to make, and like, so people sell them as, oh, here, this is acid. Well, it's not acid, and you will know because it doesn't feel like acid. It feels bad. And we don't know what these chemicals can do to your body. We don't know what they are doing to your brain chemistry. We really are still just at the beginning of researching what they can do for us. The ones that we know about. And So it's really, really, really important to test your test your drugs. If you're going to take recreational synthetic substances, you need to test them. Do not take anything that you don't know what it is, because it can have really negative consequences on you, including death. So I was very lucky that, I wasn't permanently harmed by this. It really only shook me up a lot and gave me some, deep insights into how it feels to go through these really, really difficult experiences. And I've had plenty of really, really difficult experiences with plant medicines, with ayahuasca, very recently with mushrooms, in a ceremonial setting. And so the thing that we believe at Mystical Heart Collective, that so much is, this is why we're always talking about the sacred ceremony, the sacred circle, the family, the use of these plants in a ceremonial setting, because this gives you a layer of safety. This gives you, like, okay, I'm looking around. I got people, these people know what they're doing. They've done this a million times. They got me. If something happens that I can't handle, like, they've got it. And we call it like a spaceship. So we're all on the spaceship together. We're singing to you. We're holding the space with you. We're keeping fire with you, and we're holding this spaceship so that you can explore yourself, so that you can explore whatever comes up, and you don't have to worry, like, if I go too deep, is am I not going to come back? Or if I allow myself to feel all of this and I'm overwhelmed, what will happen? So it's exciting to meet medicine in a sacred circle, in a ceremony, at a retreat. We really believe in that. That's what worked the best for us. That's not to say that you can't we know that not everybody has access to going to a retreat. So that's why we're sharing all this information with you, so that you have it. Whether you decide, okay, I'm going to have a sitter or a guide, or, psychonaut on my own. Everything that we share with you is designed to enhance your experience wherever you are in your journey, whether you're at a place where you're getting ready for a retreat, or you're, working with these things on your own, or with, some friends or whatever. So so we talked about a little bit about set and setting. I briefly mentioned kind of your internal set and setting. So this piece is really, really important as well. Preparation and safety. So preparing not only your physical body, but your mental body, your emotional body, your spiritual body. And that means doing some work before. That means preparing your container. And I always say that, as preparing your container is preparing your heart, preparing your mind, preparing yourself to receive the experience, and to be cultivate willingness is something I say a lot as well. Cultivate willingness to do whatever needs to be done for you to heal. So that can mean learning how to surrender, learning how to breathe, learning and cultivating some tools in advance to get you ready to handle this journey. Maybe breath work, maybe, learning how to set an intention, learning how to pray. These are all things that we use in our ceremonies and our own personal journeys to create a beautiful container, so that when we are with the medicine and it starts to get dicey. It gets a little overwhelming. You go all the way in the goo, and, like, what's going on in the goo? Well, you turn into the goo, and then, you know, all you have sometimes is your breath. All you have sometimes is your intention. Maybe all you can remember at the moment is the word that you're like, healing. This is healing. I want to feel gratitude. I want to forgive myself. I want to love myself, whatever, myriad of things that we bring to the medicine. So the preparation piece is so, so important. And a lot of that is coming to the real reasons, like, what do I want out of this? Why am I doing this? Not coming to it in a place of, well, maybe this will work. I don't know. I'm just going to, like, sit back and be entertained by this. And I'm going to talk about this a little more in the next coming weeks as we get ready to launch our program. Psychedelic Integration Academy. Healing with psychedelics is not a spectator sport. It is a team. It's a team sport, and it requires your participation, your active participation, and it requires your active participation not just in the experience, not just in the ceremony, but before, during, after, more after, even more after. And then, as the healing unfolds, you can kind of decide like, okay, maybe these plants are working for me. Maybe this is the thing I want to continue doing. And, creating a system of practices and having a support system for yourself so that all of this work that you do and this money and time that you invest is actually going to have results for you, because that's really the point, right? It's like we're not sitting around the fire praying, singing, help us, please heal us. Like, we are asking from our deepest selves, from our deepest hearts, for healing and for growth and to be better for ourselves, to be more ourselves. That's what these plants and can do, is to really remove, our attachments to trauma, our attachments to suffering, and help us understand why we are the way we are, or why this coping mechanism came. For me, it was an addiction. Like, why did I have to have this addiction? And then when I work with the plants, I see, oh, okay, this stuff that happened between me and my family when I was young, like, that kind of is where it came from. And going really far in and saying, oh, I need to forgive. I need to I need to bring compassion. I need to stop being judgmental about this. I need to relax and stop worrying. And I need to sit in gratitude for what I have, because we have so much. If you're sitting watching this right now in the middle of the Friday, you're probably doing pretty good. So it's really exciting to be able to share all of these tools with you in a way where you can access it however you need to. And so I want to tell you a little bit at the end of the video today about Psychedelic Integration Academy. It is a 12-week program, which means you get access to it over 12 weeks. You can do it at your own pace, whatever that feels good for you, but you'll get new information like once a week. And there's 12 group coaching calls, where we will do kind of an integration coaching hybrid that we have developed. And it's each week is a new module where you work on something around working with psychedelics. So there's two parts to it. The first few weeks are preparation and navigation. So this is like everything getting you ready for your journey, your retreat, your experience, like safety, figuring out which medicine is right for you, deciding, how you want to journey, what kind of experience is right for you, creating your vision, like where do you want to go with this, and getting some coaching around like what is coming up for you before. And then you have your navigation section, which is sort of like, here's what happens during this experience. And then the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks are integration. So each week we go step by step, walk you through all the different things you do to integrate. We do it using the elements, which is really beautiful, which I love. So you have like, at the end, this toolkit that you can use. You have access to it as long as the program is open. And a new fun relationship with us. We are about to start having retreats next year I believe we're going to try to have our first one in early March. So we're so excited for everything that's happening. It's been a crazy year, but we're here, we're ready to share everything that we've been doing with you. And there's some links in the information about this if you want to sign up for the mailing list for Psychedelic Integration Academy. The enrollment's going to open in a couple weeks. We're going to do a master class around it before. So we have a lot of cool stuff coming up. And thank you so much for spending time with me today. I hope you're doing awesome, and sending you love, and see you next week. Bye, guys.